Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to continue talking about space, but really learning about the main idea through nonfiction text, through informational stories. So make sure you have your paper, your pencil, a quiet spot to listen, and let's get started. We are still going to be thinking, how does where I live influence how I live? That's our social studies topic. But for reading, we are going to be thinking about I can identify the main idea and key details in a paragraph using signal words. So the first time we did this, we worked on just using the pictures to show the main idea, using them as the key details. Then we used words to show the main idea. Now we're going to look at a paragraph and we're going to look for some signal words to help us find what those key details are. You are probably wondering what signal words are. So the first thing we need to know, because we're looking at each paragraph, is what is a paragraph? You might recognize it from your writing, but a paragraph is a section of writing. It usually has a new line or an indent or numbering. That's how you can tell it's a paragraph. And then signal words, those words we're going to be looking for to help us find the key details. Those are words that give us hints about what is going to happen in what we are reading. So we're looking for words that will give us a hint that something in our paragraph is important. Today we're going to read this paragraph about Sally Ride. So let's look at the title, First Woman in Space. That might give us a hint about the main idea if we know the title is the first woman in space. I also see this picture of a woman, right? And it looks like she's in a spacesuit. And underneath the caption says, astronaut Sally Ride in space. So I'm thinking Sally Ride might be important. And I'm thinking she must have been the first woman in space. So let's read the article together. In 1979, Sally became qualified to be an astronaut on the space shuttle. She was selected to be on the STS-7 mission aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. On June 18, 1983, Dr. Sally Ride made history as the first American woman in space. She worked as the mission specialist. The other members of the crew were the commander, Captain Robert L. Crippen, the pilot, Captain Frederick H. Hawk, and the two mission specialists, Colonel John M. Fabian and Dr. Norman E. Thagard. The flight lasted 147 hours and set down successfully. Sally said it was the most fun she'd ever had. So for us, we are going to focus on this first paragraph. We're going to look for some signal words. In this case, a signal word in an informational text might actually be numbers. So like when I'm seeing a date, that's going to give me a hint that that part of the text might be important. Again, I'm seeing a date. This might be important. I'm also seeing the phrase made history. If you're reading a text and it says something made history, that's probably an important part of the text because it's like the first time it happened. That's what it means if it made history. And then when I'm looking, I'm also seeing a time, 147 hours. So I'm seeing dates and times and some important phrases like made history. So we are going to use the same circle map that we were using before, but this time we're going to put sentences from the first paragraph onto here to find the main idea of this first paragraph. So let's see. First, like I said, I see a date. So I know 1979, Sally became qualified to be an astronaut on the space shuttle. So that's a pretty long sentence. I don't need to write every word in that sentence. I can put it in my own words. So I know all of those words together just mean in 1979, Sally became an astronaut. Then I'm going to look probably for another date. And then I'm going to say, oh, yep, there's the date. It says Dr. Sally Ride made history as the first American woman in space. And I put it right here, made history. first American woman in space. And then the last important signal word that I'm seeing is a time, 147 hours. And I put it right there. The flight lasted 147 hours. So then when I'm looking at these 3 sentences I put in, Sally became an astronaut. She's the first American woman in space. Flight lasted 147 hours. What that's telling me is what the main idea is, what all of those details together, what do they all have in common? And I put them together to say Sally Ride was the first American woman in space. So today, we again talked about how to identify the main idea and the key details in a paragraph, but today we use those signal words. And remember, in our paragraph today, those signal words were often the dates and the times that we saw in the text. Have a good rest of your day.